Let's see what is the presentation of the patient with Horner syndrome. So what is the patient present with? Okay. So a mnemonic that I found online is maple. So the patient will have meiosis. So I will ask you why. Why meiosis? What is meiosis? Meiosis is actually the constricted people. So why meiosis is occurring? So the sympathetic is supplying the dilator pupillae as I said earlier. So once the sympathetic is gone, there is no action of the dilator pupillae. There is unopposed action of the sphincter pupillae. So the pupil will be constricted. So what happens to the other pupil? The other pupil will be not constricted, so there will be anisocoria, right? Not this constricted, this much constricted. So when the patient is coming from sunlight, maybe some amount of constriction will be there, but there will be surely anisocoria. So what is the significance of this anisocoria? It is accentuated in dark. This anisocoria is accentuated in dark because in dark the normal pupils start to dilate, but this won't dilate as briskly and fastly as this pupil. This will lag in dilatation, but with the time the anisocoria decreases. So with the time the anisocoria decreases, but in dark, in the beginning there will be significant anisocoria. Okay, that is about meiosis. Second is anhidrosis. So I will discuss each point. So why anhidrosis? Yes, the pseudomotor fibers are affected. The pseudomotor fibers are affected. So these are all ipsilateral findings. Okay, ipsilateral, same side of the lesion. So ipsilateral anhidrosis. So earlier I had said from the superior cervical ganglion area. So from the superior cervical ganglion, the pseudomotor fibers of the face are going along with ECA, whereas the dilator pupillae fibers and molar muscle fibers are going along with the ICA. So when the lesion is below the superior cervical ganglion only, you will have anhidrosis, right? Otherwise, above it, it is going along with the ECA, so there will be no anhidrosis. And the patient may complain of excessive sweating in the other side. So that's uh, just a paradox. They may feel they are excessively sweating from the other side. They will not realize that they are really not sweating in the affected side. So this may be the complaint. Next is ptosis. Okay. Why ptosis? Yes, the Muller's muscle are getting affected. It is not a very prominent ptosis. It is a slight ptosis, about 1 to 2 millimeter. Right. The human what the palpebral fissure is not that big, it is a smaller one compared to other animals, right? So the ptosis we can see. So the ptosis, Muller's muscle, it is because the Muller's muscle is getting affected, so there is ptosis. Next, L is loss of ciliospinal reflex. Yes, there is loss of ciliospinal reflex. You know, right, when you pinch in the neck there will be dilatation, so that is loss of cerebrospinal reflex. And what is this? There is a enophthalmos. What about enophthalmos? It is not a true enophthalmos, it is just a pseudo or an apparent, not pseudo, it is an apparent enophthalmos. It is an apparent enophthalmos. Why? The ptosis and the small palpebral fissure is giving an impression of enophthalmos in humans, but I saw that in animals and all there will be an ophthalmos, but in humans it is an apparent ophthalmos that we are getting an impression from the ptosis. So that is an apparent ophthalmos. So these are the most commonly associated things: meiosis, anhidrosis, ptosis, loss of spinal, and an apparent ophthalmos. But there are two more findings that I can say, that is heterochromia iridis. So that is, there's two different colors of the iris, right? The color one color of the iris, both the colors of the iris won't be the same. So that's heterochromia iridis. So one will be hypo and other will be hyper. So which is the abnormal one? Yes, in this case it is a hypochromic heterochromia iridis. Hypochromic heterochromia iridis. That means the hypochromic one is the abnormal. Next is inferior eyelid elevation. These are the two features that I can say. Inferior eyelid elevation, because the inferior tarsal muscle is getting affected. Inferior tarsal muscle is also unstriped muscle. So as the inferior tarsal muscle is getting elevated, there is an inferior eyelid elevation as well. So H and I. So we can say maybe high maple, high or high maple. So these are the different presentations of the patient. So pupillary constriction is normal in light. Pupillary constriction is normal in light. The near reflex also, it is normal in normal. Pupillary constriction is normal, near reflex normal. And also we have earlier talked about the nasopharyngeal carcinoma and all, right? And the different thyroid tumors and all, right, in the causes. So we have to check the lymph nodes in the neck and other regional lymph nodes. So lymph nodes in the neck and other regional lymph nodes must be checked, and also the other cranial nerves and the peripheral nervous system need to be checked. Other cranial nerves and the peripheral nervous system need to be checked, especially the grip strength and all. And other cranial nerve, I earlier said the sixth nerve involvement will occur. So other cranial nerves should also be tested. So this is uh, about the presentation of the patient. So let us see two pictures of Horner syndrome. So in this eye, this is the right eye. In this eye you can see, yes, when you compare to the other eye, you can see ptosis, plus you can see, yes, meiotic pupil. So you can see ptosis and meiosis. So you will suspect Horner syndrome in this patient. Next image, yes, in this eye. So if you look at this eye and compare it with this eye, what are the differences you see? Yes, of course, it is a little bit smaller. Plus there is ptosis. Plus the color of the iris is different. This is lighter. So it is heterochromia iridis, hypochromic, hypochromic, heterochromia iridis. Hypochromic heterochromia iridis can be seen. So this is the abnormal eye, and in this case also you will suspect Horner syndrome. Now let us see how we can confirm the diagnosis of Horner syndrome.